Hi guys, welcome to the Silhouette YouTube channel. My name is Mckenna Blanthorne and I'm so excited that you've joined us today. Today I'm going to be using the Cameo 4 machine to add some vinyl leaves to this super cute cookbook stand that I picked up at the store. I think this is going to be the perfect way to just add a nice little classy fall touch to my kitchen without being too overboard or too like in your face or anything. So let's go ahead and grab our supplies and let's get started crafting. Alright guys, so supplies for this are very simple. First off, we're just going to be using the Cameo 4 machine with the auto blade, which is the default blade that it comes with when you open the box. And then I'm also going to be using two different sheets of vinyl. Both of these are Oracal 651 vinyl, which is my vinyl of choice whenever I do a vinyl project. And I just recently started using vinyl sheets and I love it because it just makes it really easy to weed, and especially if I'm using something that's going to take up most of the sheet, it just makes it super easy to not have to cut anything. And then I have this little cookbook stand that I also just picked up from the store, just really blank. You could find something like this really easily online or in a store. It's very simple. And then I'm also going to be using tape, transfer tape, and this is also my transfer tape of choice when vinyl crafting. I found with vinyl crafting, using a good vinyl and a good transfer tape makes all the difference. So those are two musts for me, Oracal 651 and then tape for my transfer tape. And then I'm going to be using a hook tool to weed my design, and then I'm also going to be using a scraper tool to transfer that. So let's go ahead and hop into the software and I'm going to show you the designs we're using today. Alright guys, so here's our software. This is what it looks like when you open it by default. I'm using the Cameo 4 machine today, so that's what I have selected. And then I'm also using the Cameo 4, I'm actually not going to be using a matte today. So I'm just going to select none, and then for my media size it's 12 by 12, but you have to put 11.9 for the width for it to register, because 12 by 12 is what it can do with the matte. So it's 11.9 matteless, but you can still use your 12 by 12 vinyl. It just doesn't register that in the software. And then I'm going to come up to my library and I'm going to just search some leaves that I have. I've already downloaded, or I've already purchased these from the design store, but if you haven't, you can go ahead and purchase them. It's just called Fall Leaves by Simply Sweet Cut Files, and it's 332077. And as you can see, she did these with paper, and so she layered the paper on top of the paper to kind of create a texture, but we are just going to leave that cut inside the leaf, and then it's just going to be blank space in our vinyl. So it's a little bit different from what the design looks like in the design store, but you'll see it all come together. So I'm just going to double click that to open it, and then we're going to ungroup these leaves first. So I'm just going to right click and then click ungroup, and then I'm hoping, so it looks like these are not grouped, so I'm now just going to draw a rectangle over these two parts of this leaf, and then I'm going to right click and group that, and then I'm just going to repeat that for my other ones. Okay, and now we're kind of just going to design. So I just have this tape measure and I'm just going to see how big this stand is. So it is 10 inches wide and it's, let's see, 8.5 inches tall. And obviously it has these little like indents in the corners that we will account for afterwards, but I'm just going to make my design a square, and then I'll probably just take some scissors after when I'm done, and if I have designs overlapping there, I'll just cut it with scissors because it's too hard to account for these in a digital space. So 8.5 by 10 is our size, so I'm just going to make a rectangle of that size with my drawing tool. So I'm going to select the rectangle and then I'm just going to draw a rectangle. It doesn't matter what size it is. I'm going to unlock my padlock and I'm going to make it 10 inches wide and then 8.5 inches tall. And then I'm going to lock that again and then come back to my cursor tool and then just drag that here into the middle. And then I feel like these are a little bit big, so I have two colors of vinyl. I have a bronze color and then I have a gold color, and I think I only want to use two leaves today. I'm going to have one of my leaves be all bronze and then one be all gold. So let's go ahead and we're going to use these two, the green one and the gold one. So I'm going to delete that, and then just for kicks, I'm just going to color my green leaf. We'll make it this like brown bronzy color, just so we know. And then I'm going to make both of these smaller. So I'm going to click both of them, and then I'm just going to drag down on the corner. And then we can just kind of start arranging these however we want on here. And you can use this little green thing at the top to rotate them. Okay guys, I lied. I think I do want to add my other leaf. In my experience, when you're doing a repeating pattern, having 3 just makes all the difference. So I'm just going to lay these out for now, and then we can change the color after the fact. So I'm going to make all of these a little bit smaller. And then I want this to overlap in my corners and everything. And this box that I have here is going to make it so those will all be kind of like cut. So I'll have really nice crisp lines to line up my thing with. So I'm just holding down my Option key on my keyboard every time I want to move a leaf, or sorry, duplicate a leaf, and that's just super easy to do that. And then you could also mirror these by right-clicking and then do flipping horizontally, and it will mirror your design. I don't think I'm going to flip them vertically because I want them to kind of all be going the same direction. So I want them all to kind of be facing upwards. And there's really no right or wrong way to do this part of the project. It's all just kind of however you want to do it will work great. And like I said, where I am just going to be using this entire sheet of vinyl anyway, I'm actually not even going to trim it in Silhouette Studio. I'm just going to leave it as is, and we're just going to let that be. All right, guys, so here is our final design. You can see, let me see, I'm just going to fill the rectangle so you can see a little bit better the pieces that are going to be in the actual cookbook holder. And it does overlap a little bit, but since we're just using one piece of vinyl anyway, it really doesn't matter. It is going to give us an error when we go to cut that this piece is overlapping the artboard, but that also doesn't matter because we can just have it not cut that piece. So it doesn't really, we don't need to be too concerned about anything. And now we actually just need to make these the 2 different colors that we're going to be using, and we're going to do that in the send panel. So let's see. Alright, so what I'm going to do actually first is I'm just going to select, I think I want most of my leaves to be the gold and then some of them to be the bronze. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of my green leaves and then I'll do all of my gold leaves as well. And these are going to be my gold and then my red ones are going to be that bronze. So I'm going to group all those together. And then I'm going to select my red ones. And you can change the colors of these if you want in Studio. It's basically completely unnecessary because we're just worried about the actual cutting, not necessarily, it's not print and cut or anything, so it doesn't matter. But if that's easier for you to understand, by all means, do it in Studio. And then I'm going to go to my Send panel, and I am going to select my material, which is vinyl, and it is glossy vinyl. And then I need to connect to the correct machine. So down here, I'm just going to connect to the Cameo 4. We have a lot of Cameo 4s. Oh, it's not turned on. There we go. Alright guys, so here is what it looks like when I connect to the Cameo 4. It's ready for us to load our media now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, well actually first off, I'm going to turn off our bronze leaves. So I'm going to click one of these red leaves and then I'm just going to click no cut and that will turn off that whole group. But I don't want to turn off our rectangle because I want it to cut around that rectangle and give us a really, really nice crisp edge. So I'm just going to up my blade depth to a 2 because that's how I like cutting vinyl. And then I'm just going to move over here to my machine. Just going to press that upward arrow and then hold it there, steady. Alright guys, so this one just finished. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that it cut first with my hook tool. I'm just going to pull away one of these pieces that I'm not going to be using anyway. Cut really, really nice. Like I said, when you're using vinyl, when you're doing vinyl projects, the type of vinyl you use makes all the difference. And then we're going to load our bronze one in. Same way, just going to press that upward arrow and then hold it there, steady. And then we're going to click the group that we just used and we're going to do no cut. And then I'm going to click those red ones and then do cut. So now those are in a dark red outline, and then we're going to press send for that one. So let's go ahead and unload it. And now we're going to weed these designs. So to do that, first off, I'm just going to take off my excess around. And it should come really easily, especially since we put that rectangle around everything. And then I'm going to take my hook tool and go around the outside of everything. And this is just, it doesn't matter for anything, so just go as quick as you can, because we don't need to be super careful. It's the easiest way to cut those leaves in a nice, consistent way. So that's why I did it. And since we were using the majority of the piece of vinyl anyway. And now we're going to go ahead and take all of those tiny inside pieces out, which they should just come right out. Pretty easy. And I will say, if these teeny tiny pieces intimidate you, they really are so small that if you wanted to, you could just delete them in the software. And it really isn't going to make that big of a difference in your final design, since they're so small anyway. So if you aren't super comfortable working with small pieces of vinyl, you could just get rid of them and just have the outlines of the leaves. And I think the project would still turn out super nice. And then lastly, what I'm going to do is I am going to take off that giant rectangle, but I'm going to wait because I want to line my transfer tape up with it. So before I do that, let's go ahead and weed the other piece. And then I'll show you guys what I mean. Ooh. Okay, guys. Okay, so this is what our two pieces look like. And now I'm doing something a little bit different just because I want to line everything up exactly on this item. So I have my transfer tape sheet and it is exactly 10 by 8 by and a half, 10 by 8.5. And the reason I did that is because I want it to all line up in the exact spot. So how I'm going to do that is I'm just going to fold a corner of it over and then expose just a teeny tiny corner. Okay. And then I'm just going to take that corner that has a leaf right here on it, and then I'm just going to line up that corner exactly with the corner of my leaf. But I'm still going to leave all of that, all the rest of it there. Oh, and it doesn't want to stick for some reason. Okay, so I might have to hold it down with my finger because that little tiny corner isn't very sticky. And then I'm going to take the rest and peel it off. And since I'm doing it with one hand, just be super careful. It should come off pretty easy. This vinyl is super sticky. All right, well, it stuck to my transfer tape, but that's okay. Sometimes things like that happen, and we're still going to be able to do the same method. Basically, we're just lining up that corner before we line up anything else. Okay. Maybe I'll expose a little bit more of the corner. And then just put it in that corner of the leaf. Line it up as exact as you can. Push it down really good, and then we're just going to pull that paper as we go. That was our problem, you guys. I had it the wrong way. Okay. Just gonna pull it off. Sometimes things like this happen. Okay, and then we're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna line it up in the corner. It'll be a little bit harder without the paper on it, but troubleshooting crafts happen sometimes. And then as I get to the bottom, I'm going to line it up exactly on the bottom as well as I can, and then the sides. And I actually have a little straggler piece right here that I don't need. And I think transfer tape is actually easier to use when you don't have as many pieces, or when your stuff isn't extra, your space. Sorry, when you don't have extra transfer tape is what I'm trying to say. So I'm just going to stick this down really nicely. And then I'm actually just going to peel the rectangle off this one as well, but I'm going to keep it in this orientation because this is the way that it is meant to go. So just keep it in that orientation so you know how to stick on the other piece. And your leaves are going to be on top of it, so you're going to be able to see it. Okay, and then I'm going to flip this one over and pull off my backing. And if you feel like your leaves aren't sticking super well, a tip that I always do is I just crease it as I go. And for whatever reason, it always stays better when the backing is creased. It doesn't stick as well to the backing anymore. So that is a helpful little tip that I like to share. Almost there. As you can see, sometimes you have to go slow, but going slow is better than having to recut your vinyl if something goes wrong. So okay. Looks like we did lose one little piece right here, so I'm just going to carefully grab it with my hook tool. We just lost it at the very end. Should have been a little more patient, I guess. And I'm just going to place it in there. It very well might end up being cut off anyway, so don't worry about it being perfect. Okay, so now it's time to add our bronze piece as well. So I am just going to line everything up with this corner this time, because as you can see, I have my corner there. So to do that, I am going to fold this in half, just so we don't have as much sticky space to work with. And then I'm just going to line it up with my corner the best I can. Okay, and then I'm going to lay it down on top. And that's actually really nice. We don't have any unwanted overlapping or anything. It all came together super nicely. And then I actually can go in underneath this and take off that stray corner. And we are going to want to be pretty patient transferring this one because now we have both of our pieces. So we just need to be super careful. I'm probably going to cut the backing as I go this time. First off, I'm going to cut my excess because it's already a little bit too much in my hand. So before we even get started, I'm going to cut off around the edges. Luckily, our gold one is sticking super good to the transfer tape. Having a little bit of issues with this bronze one wanting to come off. Okay. All right, guys, so we finally got that all transferred. It took a second because I was having to be super careful, but it looks super great. I love how vinyl looks when it's on transfer tape like this. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to take our cookbook holder. I keep forgetting what this is called. And then we are just going to line up the bottom edge with the bottom edge of the cookbook holder. And you won't be able to see the bottom edge, which is something that's really nice about it because of how the project is. And I think I'm actually going to go this way so that most of the leaves face upward. And then I'm just going to go right in next to the bottom edge, which is why I wanted my transfer tape to be the same size. And then I'm just going to fold that up real quick, get it pressed down nice and close, and then I'm going to just lay it down. Okay. And then we are going to go ahead and take this off now. And I think we can actually go ahead and trim this now, the excess part. And we can go in afterwards and get even closer, but just for now, so that we don't pull those pieces off. And then I'm just going to take my scraper tool, and then I'm going to go over it And then I'm just going to peel this back. And then don't worry about the pieces that are hanging off the side. We'll take care of those after. Okay guys, and then I just want to kind of lift this leaf right here. So I'm just going to peel from the end, just lift it up just like that. And I did lose this little tiny piece. And this is totally optional. If you are not a little perfectionist, you don't have to do this at all. Just going to leave that on the hook right now. And then I'm just going to line that up with the top perfectly. Okay. And then we can take our piece that we lost and just lay it back in there. Alright guys, and then lastly, I'm just going to take that scraper tool again, get out any of the bubbles. Press everything down nice. Maybe just take my finger and do it as well. And then I'm just going to take my scissors and just cut right in close. These scissors are not very good. Okay, we're just going to fold it. Alright guys, and here is the final product. I think it came out so cute. I think it's the perfect way to add like an understated fall decoration to your kitchen. If you're going to use it as a cookbook holder, you could also use it in your living room with some books next to it. Obviously, if you're using it as a cookbook holder, you're not going to see the leaves all the time. So if you use it in another way, you can show off your project a little bit more. But thank you guys so much for joining us today. It's been so fun to have you. I hope you enjoy making all kinds of projects with your Cameo 4, and make sure to tune in every week on the Silhouette YouTube channel for a new tutorial. So thanks for joining us, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!